But first off, I'm going to kick off the day with Marty Greif from Site Tuners. Marty, personally, he is a fabulous human. We have had the pleasure of working with him for about the last 6 months. He is a part of the WSI network and does amazing things in terms of conversion website. He is so much fun. I feel like every time I tune into a conversion audit as he's talking to clients, every time that he's talked to us and given us advice, so he gave us advice on the marketing side and the website side, he's given CIPR advice to us. I learned something new. And for me, as a business owner, I don't often get the chance to do that because you're inundated with the day-to-day. So Marty is an incredible resource. I'm so thrilled that he could join us all the way from Florida. I know he must have been looking forward to the cold weather. And one of the prizes today that Marty has put up is a complimentary 90-minute conversion audit of a website. So Kaylin and Lily are going to be watching social media. They're going to be watching the Q&A, and a lucky person is going to win this complimentary audit from Marty as a part of the session. So again, ask your questions, stay engaged, and yeah, Marty.
Well, first off, thank you, Christina, for that. I'm not even sure what to say about that introduction. A warm human being or a great human being. I've never been introduced that way before. So thank you. So without further ado, if you could all just let me know or let our moderators know that you can see our screen, we'll be off to the races.
We can, Marty, and I'm going to ask you to share your video too, so we can see your lovely face.
Uh-oh. All right, now we're getting picky here. All right, hold on. All right, so hello everyone. There you go. No worries. So so now that we're sharing video, let me also just share one thing. I have multiple screens here. So when I'm looking straight ahead, I'm looking at the presentation and I'm working with you all. When I'm doing this, because you know, I'm not ignoring you. All right, I just don't want you to feel that way. So with that in mind, I'd like to start off with a little bit of a story. So when I was 27 years old, I learned a life lesson the hard way. I was a technical rep for a software company, and I was asked to give a presentation about our product set. So I got up in front of a room full of about 100 people or so, and I really nailed it. I mean, I gave this amazing presentation about, you know, what the product did and how it worked and, you know, all of this really, really what I thought was great stuff. And afterwards, the director of training came up to me, Dennis, I'll never forget Dennis. And Dennis said to me, Marty, before you started speaking, everybody in the room knew that you knew the product inside and out. And he said, you know, further, after you spoke, if anyone had any doubts about your product knowledge, it's gone because you absolutely know it. But here's the thing, nobody cared. And I went, what? He said, that was the worst presentation I've ever seen. And I thought, wait a minute, I don't understand. You just told me that I really know my stuff. And he said, yeah, but here's the thing. People don't care about, you know, you or what you have to say. They care about how it affects them. People are inherently selfish. So when you're giving a presentation, you have to make the presentation about the recipient, okay? Make sure that they understand what's in it for them. And so over the years, that became my philosophy for both sales and marketing, and hence the title of this presentation, True Connections, Relationship Marketing in a Digital World. And I will tell you that that's not only the title of this presentation, it's also the title of my new book that's coming out. It's at the publishers as we speak, and it'll be out within the next, I'm told, 4 to 6 weeks. So now, courtesy of your hosts here, they have asked us to make sure that every attendee gets a complimentary copy of the book when it comes out. Now, obviously, it's going to be in a few weeks, but you will be receiving that. So make sure that Christina and Steph have your physical addresses so that they can get that off to you. So without any further ado, all right, let's talk about this in general. So here's the question. Are you selfish? Now, I want you to think about that for a second. Are you selfish? And, people, you're going to think, no, I do good things for people. Some of you are thinking you're selfish. But here's the reality of it. Frankly, everybody is selfish. We were literally, animals. Okay. We were cave people. We were driven by instinct to get food, to reproduce. Okay. It's our lizard brain. It's all about survival. All right. So we have these instincts to fulfill our own interests, and we love to talk about ourselves. And let's face it, we're bad listeners. How many times have you had to have someone repeat themselves, or where you thought, oh my God, I didn't really catch that, but I don't want to embarrass myself. All right. So I'm not going to tell them I didn't hear that. And then how about this? Faces, okay, and names. You get introduced. I mean, if we were in person, all right, as we were supposed to be, and in one of the breaks we were meeting, all right, and it's a little easier, because I was the speaker, and you meet me, you say, oh, well, that's Marty, right? But here's the reality of it. If you met each other, okay, if you didn't connect, you would forget the person's name. Now, they probably would have a badge on, which make it a little easier. But if you were to see them a week later in the supermarket, you wouldn't recognize them, all right? We are selfish. And so we are quick to gravitate towards people and situations that make us happy. Now, this is human nature. This may sound harsh, and I'm not trying to be mean here, but this is really, how we're wired. And if you know about Maslow and you've read about this, it really at the lowest level of his hierarchy of needs, it's all about the physical, the need for survival. It's the need for, to eat, to drink, health, rest, and then comes up security and social, and, then, as we go up all the way to self-actualization, as the lower needs get satisfied, we can then bring ourselves to the next level of needs. But here's what's interesting about that. The top half of the pyramid, even when people are considered to be, philanthropists, right? Or they do wonderful things, okay? All of these selfless acts that we see, they're actually driven by a selfish, nature in ourselves. So why do we donate to charity? Well, we donate to charity, and I know this is going to sound horrible. It's not because we want to do something good for somebody. I mean, we do, but it's how it makes us feel, okay? We feel good by donating to charity. A soldier risking their lives, they feel good about who they are and their place in life, okay? A teacher making sure students do well, they are gratified by that. Okay, scientists work, everything you do, okay, is really all about, a little bit of what's in it for me, okay? And I know that sounds terrible. Even love, okay? And I don't want to ruin anyone's marriage, but even love is about what's in it for me. When we love somebody, all right, it's those endorphins. It's what happens in our bodies that makes us feel good about it, all right? And so love itself is not a selfless act. So I'm really, and maybe I'm over dramatizing this just a little bit, but the point of this is that selfish nature, okay, translates when we're marketing, okay? And the problem with that is we as digital marketers are selfish, and we either don't know it or we haven't accepted it. And so that in and of itself is problematic. So why are they selfish? Well, I assume everybody here is a digital marketer to some extent, right? It's not, I don't think you're all bad people. I'm not suggesting that. I'm just suggesting that we're so consumed with our own ideas and we want our strategies to work that we're forgetting about the visitor, okay? And frankly, everything we do needs to be about the visitor. And let me give you some examples that maybe you do yourselves, all right? And maybe you'll recognize this. Gated content. You have a white paper on your website and you want somebody to download the white paper. So what do? You ask them for their name and email address and maybe their company name and maybe their phone number. But do they really need that to download a white paper? No, they could just click and download it. All right. But then you say, well, but we need our leads. Well, there's ways to do that. And just putting up forms, very long or irrelevant forms, really doesn't help you. You're doing this all for yourself and not necessarily for the visitor. Another one of my favorites is too much content on a website. You've seen these pages that just go on and on and on, and there's all of these words on the page, and they're frankly just an army of words marching on the page looking for meaning. It's terrible. Or they focus on the products and services of the company. It's like the singer warming up in the background. It's like me, 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 me. Nobody cares about you, okay? They care about what they want when they come to your website, all right? And then we get in the way with, but wait, there's more. We upsell, we cross-sell, we do all of these marketing techniques. And yes, some of it works, but you're frankly, hurting yourself in the long run. So with that in mind, if it's not about you and it's about the visitor, then it really is a win-win, process here. So this next slide that I'm going to share with you is, at least in my mind, the most important slide in the entire deck. All right. So, and you might say, all right, what's this slide? So true connections, all right, is basically at the intersection of the visitor intent, the experience they have, and your company goals. And here's the beauty of this. Today with this pandemic and everything that's going on, while this is true, if I'm going to a store, it's also true if I am trying to find out information on a website. So what we do in person, we still need to do even more so. So when somebody comes to your website, whether you're an e-commerce site or a lead gen site or whatever you're doing, they're coming for a reason. And if you can give them a good experience that actually matches that user intent, okay, and oh, by the way, matches your company's goals in the middle, that's where true connections happen. That's where the revenue happens. That's where the leads are, the downloads, the sales, you name it, whatever it is that you're trying to accomplish. When you align all three things, all right, this is where the money is. So let's take this to in person for a second. We meet people, and this would have happened live, and it would have been funny. You would all been looking at each other when you're meeting each other, maybe for the first time live, and you can certainly do this at the industry party, right? But here are the three things that we kind of asked ourselves when we are meeting somebody. Do I want to talk to this person? Do I trust this person? And do I want to continue this discussion, right? So we make immediate judgments from people. All right, we look at them and we say, well, how do I feel about this person? Is this somebody I want to talk to? What's in it for me? How do I feel about this person? And what am I supposed to do here? Do I want to continue talking to them, or do I want to gnaw off my arm to get away? I'm exaggerating a little bit, but these are the kind of the thoughts that go through your mind when you're talking to people. All right. Interestingly enough, there's a version of these three questions or these three concepts that absolutely happen every time someone comes to a website. So let's talk about, in person first, and then we'll move to the website. So I want to talk to them. You get an introduction, you get a name. Do I trust this person? Are they friendly? What's their appearance? Do I want to continue? Are they talking all about themselves, or or is it an engaging conversation, right? So what happens now when we take those concepts and we apply it to your website? So, and really you should ask yourselves, when your visitors coming to your website, are you actually making a true connection? All right. So here's the three questions. And Christina has heard me say this to many of her clients. Here's what happens. I ask, am I in the right place? How do I feel about this site? And what am I supposed to do here? Okay. And it's, do I want to talk to this person? How do I feel about this person? And do I want to continue? What am I supposed to do here? So it's basically, did they meet my needs? Do I feel safe? Okay. And is it clear what I'm supposed to do? Do I want to continue or do I want to bounce? All right. Hopefully that makes sense. And by the way, I didn't say this, folks, and forgive me in the beginning, but if you have questions during this, and you just put them in there, both Christina and Steph will jump in as appropriate. Otherwise, we've also set up some time at the end for questions. But let's talk about these three questions here in a little bit more detail. Am I in the right place? Match visitor intent, okay, and expectations. Don't make your visitors think. I say this all the time. Don't make your visitors think. So here's why you don't make your visitors think. And you have to design your website, and forgive me for this, but you have to design your website as if your visitor was lazy and or stupid. And I know that sounds terrible, okay? But the reason you have to do that is because, and I know I'm going to look foolish when I do this, but if this is the gas tank of patience in my brain at the moment, and if this is full over here, you don't know when I come to your website, did the dog pee on the rug? Did I have a fight with my spouse? Did one of my children just drive me right out, batty? Where's my patience level when I get there? And here's the thing, okay? Every time you make me think, you're using up a little of that patience. And if I get to your site and I don't immediately know I'm in the right place, well, you can see that in analytics. It's called your bounce rate, okay? Am I in the right place? So let me show you an example of am I in the right place? And actually, Christina, forgive me. Obviously, I'm American. So we see Progressive Insurance in here all the time. Christina, is Progressive up in Canada too?
We do, yeah, we have them.
Okay, great. So and so we recognize Flow also. They use
We
the same.
do. We know Flow.
Okay, we know Flow. Okay, good to know. So here's the thing: is the Google search was New York homeowners insurance quote. And then I got to Progressive home insurance quote line, but nowhere does it say anything about New York. And on the page, okay, there's nothing about New York and there's a zip code. Really? So as odd as this sounds, okay, I've actually done tests like this for clients where you do things like New York home insurance quote and you get to the site and you enter in your zip code and it says, sorry, we don't cover New York. I'm sorry, what? Why were you even advertising for that? I mean, that's just crazy. All right. So the problem is, even though the question was New York homeowners insurance quote, and we're talking about homeowners quotes and so on. All right, it's not a one-for-one match here, and so it doesn't match the visitor intent, and it makes your visitor think. So here's one of the problems with this. Progressive is a brand. Brands get away with things that non-brands can't get away with. So, unless you're progressive, you can't get away with things like this. So let me show you an example of the right way to do it. New York homeowners insurance quote, and look at what's on the top there. Compare top 10 home insurance, best New York home quotes, okay? Top rated New York insurance. And when I land on the page, it says New York homeowners insurance rates. Does it match my visitor intent? Well, yeah, I don't have to think at all. All right. And I will tell you, just by doing this increased their conversion rate by 86% when we did this with this client. So, don't make me think, make it obvious for somebody so that I feel really, really good about it. Now, I will tell you another quick story, and this is I'll embarrass myself again. So I was working with a client. They are a $20 billion hardware manufacturer. I was talking to their executive vice president, who was responsible for like $16 billion a year worth of revenue. And I was saying this kind of stuff to him, and he said, well, Apple does it that way. And I replied to him, yeah, but you're not Apple. He didn't take that well. He's not a client anymore, so that's shame on me. But it was still true. Brands can get away with things that non-brands can't get away with, all right? So let's talk about the second question. Am I in the right place? The second question is, how do I feel about this site? You know, is it well executed? And is there a proof on here, social proof, anything that builds trust? So let me give you an example of this. Here's a website that's selling, and I didn't know this, by the way. You can buy grills out there, and this is a site in the US that for almost $2,000, I can buy a grill online. And what do they got on here for trust? They got a green checkbox that says, in stock. Really? So let me show you a competitor's. Same exact grill. And look at all the trust. They've got their phone number up here, which is the biggest trust symbol on the face of the planet. They've got Better Business Bureau. They've got Inc. 5000, 100% safe. They've got ratings. Same exact product, same exact price. Which one am I going to trust? Which one is more likely to get my $2,000? It's the one with the trust symbols. You have to make me feel safe when I'm coming to the site. What am I supposed to do here? Okay, and I know these sound simple. You know, am I in the right place? How do I feel about this? What am I supposed to do here? But it is amazing how many sites we review that just don't do this. All right, and so let me give an example of what am I supposed to do here. So this is a client in Australia, and I get here and I go, what is this? Well, I guess they sell some Kasumi knives, I guess, and limited time they sell this crockery here, and I'm looking here and I'm trying to figure out what they do, and that just doesn't work for me. So we turn that into this with visual navigation, okay? And by the way, this is the same exact concept. I don't care if you're doing lead gen or you're doing it's B2B, B2C, it doesn't matter. It's the same concept. Make it really easy for me to see what I'm looking for. So now what did they do here? They went by order of what they sell the most of, and then they put below each category, they put some sub-level navigation, all right? And you'll notice that that in their images, they have category level images. And I know this is going to sound terrible, folks, but if they only had a picture of like this round tin kind of bakeware, we've actually seen this. If you don't have category level images for things, what happens is people look at it and they go, oh, they only sell that kind. Really, people? Remember I said you got to design as if your visitor was lazy and or stupid? There's reasons for that. And we've tested this over and over and over again. Now, this site now does all the things you'd want. It's got trust symbols on it, and if I were to draw the trust symbols on here real quick, okay? Phone number is the biggest trust symbol on the face of the planet, okay? Trusted by 500,000, Australian family business. These are trust symbols. And there's all sorts of types of trust symbols. But when I get here, am I in the right place? All right, the largest range of kitchenware online, okay? That's what they do. How do I feel about it? I feel really good. And what am I supposed to do here? And frankly, this made it real easy with visual navigation. All right, fair enough, folks? All right. By the way, Christina and Steph, because I don't want to run over, I'm going to ask you to also give me a 10-minute warning because I tend to be talkative. Okay, folks?
No problem. We're on it.
Okay.
Marty, I may, if you would like to just break it up. Is this a good time? We have a question from Nikki in Toronto.
Well, only because it's Nikki, sure.
Okay, so Nikki, I'm going to press a button and we'll hear your voice too. Hi, Nikki.
Great. Can you hear me?
You bet.
Yep.
Marty, how are you?
Great. Thanks for asking. How are you doing?
I'm good. Thank you. I have a question about the trust building.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm coming from a not-for-profit charity in Toronto. Mm-hmm. And when you're talking about bringing people in through trust versus what we're showing them on the site, sometimes the user intent and our organizational need can be a little bit misaligned. So for example, when you were showing the home insurance, you know that they're coming in from New York. They're looking specifically for information about New York, so getting to the site can be a frustrating user experience if you don't provide those services in New York. So when people are coming to our website, they're often just looking for information about our programming, looking for where we work, very much so trying to get familiar with our branding and our organization. But in order to fund our programming, we need to constantly have an ask out there for donations and to engage in some of our recurring gift products. So how do we balance that trust when we know someone's coming in for information, but organizationally we still have to somewhat keep a focus on a different subject matter, which is donations?
Right. And so that actually, and we're going to talk a little bit about that later, and I'll point it out when we get there, but here's the quick answer to that. All right. There's a principle called the principle of reciprocity. You have to give before you get. If I give you something, you now owe me something. All right. I don't know if you're familiar with that or heard of that before. So when you're doing a website and they're coming for information, if you give them really, really high quality information, and you're telling them how these programs help whatever your charity does, all right? And you're explaining it, and that you've been doing this, you know, for X number of years, and you've helped these number of people, and you're building a story, and you're sucking them in, right? Okay. You have earned the right to ask for the order, okay? That's the principle of reciprocity, not at the top, okay? But midway down, you can say, and you can be involved. And again, we're designing on the fly, which is always scary, but you can join us and you can be involved. And as you get further down in the content, right, you've now gotten to the point where you've earned the right to really ask for the order. And you can say, you know, this is our mission, this is what we do, and you can tug on the heartstrings, and I'm sure you're good at this, all right? You know, now's the time to join. And so you have to give before you get, and you have to prove to them that you're credible in there. Does that make sense?
Yeah, definitely, Marty. Thank you so much.
You're most welcome. So, all right, so moving on to a little bit further here on the recap, all right, of this. You know, am I in the right place? You know, don't make me think. How do I feel about this? Build the trust, right? And what am I supposed to do here? Again, it's not about making me think, all right? So let's apply these 3 questions to some specific websites. So here's some things that you can do today. Well, maybe after you talk to your developer, but here's some things that you can do on almost any kind of site that will immediately increase your conversion rates, okay? And so consider this a free gift. Remember, you got to give before you get. So we've tested these things, I can't tell you how many times, and they work. So rotating static versus rotating banners, okay? How many times have you seen a website, and maybe you guys got it, where the banner rotates, right? And you see new banners. All right, let me be clear. Don't do that, okay? Motion is distracting for visitors. We are literally animals. I'm going to go back to the whole cave people thing. Not only are we selfish for, you know, that instinctual drive to survive, but movement is potentially a danger signal. And again, I'm going to look like an idiot here, but when we see movement, it's like, oh my God, the bear's coming to eat me. Oh my God, right? And so I know I'm exaggerating a little bit, but here's what happens when there's movement on your site. Every time your banner moves, that's creating cognitive friction. You're making me think, and I'm going, what's that? What's that? All right. And again, I'm exaggerating a little bit, but we've tested this, and I will tell you that removing rotating banners and replacing it with a banner that just says who you are and what you do. And there's a little bit of a science to it, but if you get rid of the rotating banner and you put a static banner up instead that is addressing the visitor, am I in the right place? How do I feel about this? And what am I supposed to do here? If you do that, you can increase your conversion rates anywhere from 10 to 15%. All right. So how do you measure success with this? Your bounce rate, you know, should reduce, okay, because they're not frustrated. The number of pages, you know, should increase because they're now engaged with you, and your conversion rate could increase. And conversion rate could be either a macro or a micro conversion rate. So a macro conversion rate would be, you know, they donated, but a micro conversion rate could be they got further in the process and maybe gave me an email address so I could start marketing to them, all right? So it depends on what you're measuring. So here's an example of a static versus rotating banner. This was a rotating banner, okay? I don't know what it is. And there's also banner blindness. And we've tested this, after about 3, or so, and potentially 4, they stop looking and they've already forgot what was on the first 1 or 2, right? Car sites are wonderful with this stuff. It's really bad. So this violates basically all the CRO principles, okay? And instead what they did is, skincare, makeup, hair. It doesn't rotate, right? So when I get here, am I in the right place? Well, I know what they do now, right? Well, they're brands, so you kind of probably knew what they did beforehand. But, it's really clear what it is. There's visual emphasis to direct the attention. Calls to action are organized. It's obvious what you want me to do, okay? And it's this kind of organization that improves the conversion rate. Hopefully that makes sense to everybody. So if you have a rotating banner, figure out what you can do with a static banner that solves the need. And this is true whether it's a lead gen site, a subscription site. I don't care what it is. All right, don't rotate. It causes people to react negatively. Okay, and we've tested it time and time again. All right, visual navigation versus, a mashup of all sorts of things. Let's make it easy for people to find what they're looking for, okay? And how do you measure success, all right? It should decrease bounce rate, so you're looking at that, your time on page, so you're gonna increase the flow, which, crazy as it sounds, they're not gonna spend less time potentially on the page because they find what they want easier. Now, they may spend more time on your site, but the time on a page for a complicated page should go down. And again, the conversion rate should go up. So here's an example, all right? And this is a mashup of all sorts of stuff. It looks kind of like a blog. Believe it or not, this was an e-commerce site. It's got all these words down at the bottom, which we call, again, an army of words marching around the page looking for meaning. This is not helpful, all right? So instead of this, we turn this into this look, which is more modern, okay? It's got a banner that's really clear. It's got all sorts of trust on it. You know exactly what it is they do. The calls to action are simple, all right? And this increased their conversion rate by 277%, okay? And it's because I don't have to think. I get here. If this matches my user intent, right? And I get here, I feel good about it, and I know what to do. You got to simplify, all right?
Marty, I'm going to interrupt you. We had one question around videos in that banner. So what about a video in that hero image? What's your opinion on that?
So there's a couple answers to that. So there's, for the most part, videos that automatically play, all right, or those videos that are in the background that you see, the background images, those tend to be bad and lower conversions. There's some exceptions to that rule. If your site is experiential, so if you're in the tourism world, okay, or you're a hotel, or you're a ski resort, or you're something where it's an experiential site, okay, then there's ways to do it, all right, with the background videos, but you can't make the background video overwhelming. So an experiential site is different from all other types of sites. So unless you have an experiential site, don't do it, and don't have an auto playing video. Now there's ways to do videos, and if we have time at the end, Christina, remind me, and I'll show people exactly how to put a video right on their homepage up in the banner area the correct way, if we have time at the end. Fair enough?
Awesome. Thanks, Marty.
Okay. All right. So lowering the number of form fields. Why? All right. Every time you add a form field, it increases that cognitive friction, and the more fields, okay, you have on your form, the less likely people are going to fill out. So in this case, less is more, okay? Not more is less. Less is more, all right? So why? How do you look at this? You can check the abandonment rate, all right? Are people filling out the form better? What's the conversion rate, okay? Lowering the number of form fields matters. This is one of my favorite examples, and I know this is a hard screenshot to read, so let me tell you what it says here. First name, spouse, last name, email, home phone, work phone, cell phone, best time to call, select the state, how much do you need to say? And they could have gone on. Did you have a nice lunch? What did you eat? Did it affect your tummy? I mean, this is just stupid, okay? There's no other way to put this. People don't want to fill out all of this, all right? So instead, what did we do? We turned that into this, all right? And this increased their conversion rate by 51%, which generated an additional, because of the volume, it generated an additional $48 million a year for them by lowering the number of forms, fields on there. Because really, and for those of you who are doing any kind of lead gen, okay, really, why do you need all these fields? It's probably because somebody says, well, we need that so we know who to contact. Okay, well, let's talk about that principle of reciprocity one more time. Here's an example of downloading a free guide to hearing aids. And we went from this to this. But let me ask this question. This is a question for the audience. So I'm going to ask either Steph or Christina to tell me what the answers are. How many form fields do you actually need to enable somebody to download a buyer's guide, a white paper, or whatever that you've got? What's the minimum number of fields you need? And go ahead and answer that.
We had someone say 0. We had someone say 3, 2, couple 2s, 1. Okay. Someone says no fields.
Yep. All right. Good answer. So is it averaging out around 2 or so, kind of, it feels like?
Yeah, 1 or 2.
Yeah, okay. So the correct answer is actually 0. So those of you who said 0, you pat yourselves on the back. Good job, okay? And so here's the reality of that. If you're downloading informational, something that's going to help your sales cycle, and I know there's people going, no, but you need their email address or you need to contact them. No, not yet, okay? You haven't earned the right, all right? By having no fields on there, and again, we've tested this, but I will tell you it's a bridge too far for many clients, okay? By having nothing there, and instead giving them a really, really, really high quality download, whatever it is, and in that really high quality PDF, where against the principle of reciprocity, I give you good stuff, right? And at the very end, you're allowed to ask for the order. You can actually say, for more information on blah, 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 whatever it is, go here. That takes them to another page on your website. And on there are a couple other things that they could potentially download. But for those next level things, you can ask for their name and an email address. You have earned the right because you gave them quality up front, right? You give before you get. And here's what happens. People say, well, that'll lower our number of leads. Well, it might, but the quality of those leads will go up exponentially, because how many people fill in forms with an email address at Yahoo or Gmail or AOL or God knows what, that they're never looking at anyway? It's the spam email address. I'm not even going to ask you folks, but I know you have spam email addresses, okay? Because you just don't want to hear from people when you fill out forms. But when you give people high quality, they're more likely to give you real information. And so this is how you increase the revenue, for your business, by providing. You give before you get. Now, in this instance, this client wouldn't let us do it, right? So by lowering the form fields here, they did get a 17% increase in conversions, and it did generate more money for them. So let's be realistic. You don't have to go to 0, but if you can, it's absolutely something you should consider testing. Fair enough, folks? Trust symbols in the header. All right, make me feel safe. Make me feel like I'm in control here. Make me feel like, if I'm going to give you my personal information, or if I'm going to put my credit card in there, whatever I'm doing, make me feel safe. And how do you measure it? Well, Again, bounce rate, time on site, conversion rate, these are all important metrics. But let's talk about a real example here. This is a client, Fence 375, they're selling weight loss pills. Well, let's be realistic, weight loss pills, if that's not one of the things that people, really need some trust on, so this thing doesn't feel good at all, right? It's like, what's their trust on here? And frankly, there's none. And it's not it doesn't even look like a good design. By turning that into this, and let me point out some stuff, and this is where it gets crazy even. Look at the trust up here. And I will tell you, the biggest trust symbol on the planet is phone number. If you have your phone number in the top right-hand corner, because real companies have phone numbers, all right, it increases your calls, but it also increases your conversion rate. But look at these others, 233,000 plus customers, quality improved, formulated. They made up these trust symbols. They made them up. It still works. Now, the number of clients was real, but all of this other stuff, this is just stuff they created. Their conversion rate went through the roof. Now, they did also add the Norton guarantee down here, all right, which helped, but they also added a money back guarantee on here. So when I get here with a more modern design and these trust symbols, I feel better. Now, notice I say trust symbols in the header. I don't just say trust symbols, but I said trust symbols in the header. Why? Well, because here's the thing. You don't know what page I'm going to land on. And if your header is the same across all of your pages, and I see that trust, when I land on it, maybe because I landed it from an SEO, search, and I said, oh, I go here and there's trust symbols, I'm going to feel safe. You need to make me feel safe as a visitor, right? So with that in mind, those are the things that we can test here. And now we're going to go to
Marty. I'm going to jump in one more time. Oh, well, maybe this is the right question.
Yeah, this is the right time. Well, because what I was going to offer to do, so tell me how much time we have left for questions and answers, because I can also pull up somebody's website live. All right.
You're good. You have we've got 18 minutes, so you're doing awesome.
Okay. So let's start with Q&A, and then if there's somebody who's brave who wants to have us take a quick look at their website, we'll do it live, and I'll apply the 3 questions to their website.
Amazing. So I'm going to make the call. So if you would like Marty to look at your website live, send me a note in the chat. First question I'm going to throw at you is about B2B. So a lot of the examples were kind of that product piece. Would you address kind of conversions or anything you said differently in that B2B or services environment?
Yeah. So in a website for B2B, and I'm going to pretend this is a website that we're looking at here. So in your header, okay, which by the way, even though your website might extend with with visuals here, all the meat of your content should be in the middle here. And by the way, this is similar for mobile too, so it's the same. But we've got your logo here, and then underneath your logo, all right, should be 6 to 10 words that basically say who you are and what you do. And so what this would be is, and I'll make it up, serving, Alberta for over 21 years, serving the tourism industry in Alberta for over 21 years, serving, the manufacturing, of whatever it is, 6 to 10 words that no matter what page I land on, I feel really good about, all right? And then on the top right hand, I'm going to have that phone number that I talk about. And then the top banner here is going to be, a little bit more with some trust symbols in it potentially, as well as your unique selling proposition, at least on the homepage, right? And then underneath here, let's say that you service, and I'll make this up, you service doctors, lawyers, and Indian chiefs, right? So the visual navigation would say, are you, doctors, lawyers, Indian chief, all right? And then it says with a picture, and because you want to make it interesting, doctors require the utmost of care and blah, blah, blah. A couple bullet points here. Lawyers have a unique problem with whatever it is I'm doing with lawyers. And Indian chiefs, well, they got their own set of issues. And this is all oriented towards benefits. And then there's a call to action because you've earned the right. Now, what happens is I get here and I say, oh, am I in the right place? Yes, I am. How do I feel about it? I feel good because, you know, they've serviced people for over 21 years. They've got the phone number. And then are they talking to me? You know, what am I supposed to do here? Well, I'm a lawyer or I'm an Indian chief. You've given me a trail to follow down to learn more about what you're going to do for me. Does that make sense, folks? Does that work, Christina?
Yeah, that's awesome. I am going to, so Randy, I know you had a question around gated content, so I'm going to press the magic button so you can ask yourself. Hi, Randy.
Hey, how's it going?
Good.
Good. All right, my question, I stated it out in the question thing. Let's go. Gated content is a reality. Valuable gated content is a rarity. Do you advise your team or your clients to go about engaging in conversations before the buyer expresses an intent to buy?
So let me see if I understand the question. So because there's a couple, there's actually a few issues in there. We tell people to engage online and provide value online so that you become a trusted source. Okay. But here's the other thing, and we just went through this personally with somebody. When they call you or that you call them or however that works, that user intent needs to be matched, and that same give before you get happens. All right, how many times have you filled out a form and then you get a salesperson who calls you and they're all about qualifying you? Well, how big is your organization? When are you looking to buy? Nobody, you just hang up on them, okay? The way to increase your conversions and your revenue is all about you give on the website, and then when you talk to them, you make it all about them and you give in that call, all right, or that meeting. And then at the end of the meeting, you've earned the right to ask for, you know, whatever the next order. We always give before we get, and it works. And every time, and I can't tell, we did something with one client where we helped them with their gated content, and they had a lot of inbound calls and outbound calls. And by making that work, we increased the sales off of the phone calls from their call center by 15%, which was millions of dollars, right? So it's that process where people relate to me online, relate to me in person, and make it so so that I feel like you care about me and you're not being selfish. Right? Does that make sense, buddy?
I'm just curious about, so you mentioned that when you're in a meeting. So what happens before that though? So
Before a
like,
meeting?
yeah, so what I'm asking is, you said not to gate content, and I agree with you when it comes to sales collateral. You never want to gate that. The more that's out there, the more your brand is out there.
Oh,
right?
I'm not saying don't gate anything.
Yeah.
You earn the right to gate something. You give quality content up front and at the first level. And after the first level, when they go from within that non-gated content to the next one, you're allowed to gate at that point because you've earned the right to do so, right?
Yeah.
And then if there's more content in a flow, if you're doing drip marketing, not only did you gate it, you have earned the right to do what we call progressive disclosure, whereas the more I give you, the more you can tell me potentially and qualify yourself. So the more things that I'm clicking on to download and look at, that's telling you more about my user intent. So my drip marketing gets better. And in every piece of that drip marketing that I'm giving, it goes from tell me a little bit about who you are after that first non-gated piece to would you like this other content, or would you like to speak with an expert? Would you like this content, or would you like to speak with an expert? You've earned the right to ask for a little bit more engaging call to action. Does that make sense, Randy? Am I answering your question, or am I going south on you?
No, that's okay. I get it. So I'm just what I'm hearing is content on page, good content on page starts generating trust. At a certain point, that trust will be great enough that they will reach out.
Yeah, and you've also earned the right to. So if I were to draw that really quickly on here, okay. So I get whatever this downloadable PDF thing is here, right? And so in that downloadable PDF is all sorts of really great content. It's got some images and it's got all sorts of good stuff, right? And at the very bottom, because I created something really high quality, this call to action takes them to another page on the website, all right? And this is your typical funnel, right? By the way, this is not a test of my ability to draw with a mouse, folks. Okay, let's just so we're clear. All right. But down here is they sign up, they buy, they call you, whatever you're doing here. So they get to this next page, and there's potentially 2 or 3 things here that they can pick from. All right. To get any one of these or multiples of these, they have to, this is gated now. This is non-gated here, the first thing. The second thing, because you've given them such high quality, this is gated. You can ask for their name and email address, right, to get this next thing. And then depending upon what they pick, you know, if they're, again, doctor, lawyer, Indian chief, if they pick the doctor path, you know, to drip market the doctor stuff. So now, as they're moving down funnel, okay, you might reach out to them at this point, but you might not. You might actually drip to them and give them more choices in the doctor path. And then you might ask them about in the doctor path, well, what is your, you know, how many patients do you have or how many offices do you have? And the more, you know, maybe I'm selling software to them, right? As, you know, so that's a B2B sale, all right? You know, practice management software. And we've actually done that. That's why I know that works. So as they get further down and then at some point they tell you something and each piece of content now says, tell me a little bit more about you, right? Because we can give you even better content and or speak to an expert, which they either fill out a form or they call a trackable phone number. I mean, this works all the time. I don't know if this is helpful to you or not, Randy, but that's the process for lead gen and gated and non-gated content.
Awesome. Thanks, Marty. All the questions are pouring in, but I want to make sure we get to a live audit as well. So I may even give you some extra time, but Sean.
I don't remember signing up for that, but okay.
I'm already twisting your arm. Sean is from Travel, Alberta, and he has a question. So Sean, I feel like a radio host. Sean, you're on the air.
Sure. Can you hear me?
You bet.
Morning,
Hi,
everyone.
Sean, you're live with Marty. Yeah.
I feel like I'm on a talk show.
Yeah.
Our version of conversion is a little bit different,
Mm-hmm.
but we're trying to show love to all the partners across the province.
Mm-hmm.
Our conversion level of the funnel is leads to partner.
Sure.
We actually have a website, travelalberta.com, where any partner can upload their listing. So it could be hotels, could be, you know, a snow tour, could be skiing, whatever. And our main metric is leads to partner. So lead. What are your recommendations on lead gen? A lot of these have been like consumer facing products and they've been a little bit more where you actually own that level of the funnel, the conversion, the actual transaction, where we necessarily don't. So just wondering what you've learned about lead gen.
Yeah. All right. And we've done massive amounts of lead gen, both in universities for new students and financials. And what happens in that, and you've probably seen these compare credit cards and so on, and you click and then it goes to the bank, right? It's the same exact thing, right? You know, and then there's even travel ones. Matter of fact, I did one for a travel one where we did upstream messaging on blogs, on different blogs that then would go to a site that would then potentially, you know, buy from them. All right. And what you have to, well, first off, you have to make sure that you've got in your analytics that you're tracking the event, okay? And you have to build your credibility as the upstream messenger because, and this is where it gets a little tricky, all right? You're talking about leads to clients, all right? I would argue that what you want to do to differentiate yourself is not just send them lots of leads, but actually send them people that buy from them or book, okay? And so to do that, and this is what will separate you out from everybody else, is you need to not only look at building your own credibility. Why should they believe you when you say that, you know, so-and-so's hotel is this magnificent, wonderful thing, right? You need to make sure that wherever you land them on the page, that your messaging matches their messaging, all right? Remember I talked about, am I in the right place early on? Well, now you're the upstream messaging. And so if you say how wonderful they are, okay, and you talk about, you know, and I'll make it up, kids eat free and the kids club and, you know, I'm making all this up, right? Whatever it is. And you land on a page and it doesn't mention kids eat free and the kids club, but it talks about how beautiful it is in your city. That's a mismatch of user intent. So for you to make this work for them, you have to not only make sure that they trust you, but you need to have a little bit more of your funnel so that when it goes to the next page off your site, whatever it says, you've pre-sold them for. Does that make sense?
Yeah, thanks.
Yeah, and it's a little hard to do because the other thing that happens there is when you're working with partners, they will change their landing pages on you without telling you, okay? So here's an opportunity to truly differentiate yourself. If you say to them, listen, we can help you get more bookings, and here's the way we're gonna do this, is we're gonna not only talk about what we're doing on our site, we wanna talk about what you've got on your site. And if you can change it based on words that we know work, that would be great. But if you can't, what we're going to do is we're going to pre-sell, and so that user, and explain the whole user intent thing to your clients. Trust me, no one's having this discussion with them. So you're going to talk about that, and then you're going to say, and the one thing, because you want us, help us to help you. If you ever going to make a change to these pages that we're sending people to, you have to tell us so that we can adjust the upstream messaging. And again, use the 3 questions. Go ahead and say, am I in the right place? How do I feel about it? What am I supposed to do here? That will so differentiate you that and they will see bookings go up if you and they do that together. All right. Trust me on that. We've done this. It absolutely will work.
Thanks, Marty.
You're welcome. Sorry, that was a long-winded answer. I do that.
No, we love your answers, Marty.
Okay.
Okay, I have a couple requests for websites. So the first person who came in was eaglenook.com.
Okay. So
EAGLE.
okay, one second. Let me get there. And
I'm too quick.
I know. No, it's all good. So everything's loading, and because we are eaglenook.com, did you say?
You bet.
Well, let's see if that is correct, or if okay. That site can't be reached because I can't spell. Thank God I didn't share my screen while I was typing, because you don't think I was a moron. All right, let's try that again. All right, eaglenook.com.
NOOK.
Yep, sports fishing.
You bet.
All right, so let me know when you can see it's loading. And by the way, so the loading, so that's the experiential stuff I was talking about, right? And so here's the, I got some issues here. Let's start with, this is one of the few types of sites where this kind of video works, all right? So if you're selling, lead gen to doctors, don't do this, right? But here's the problem I've got. So I get here and I don't know anything about you and why I would trust you. And this video, by the way, needs to be desaturated a little bit, and it needs to move a lot slower. You're making the animal in me nervous. All right. So this needs to be a little bit slower. And I don't mean it's slower like the person walking. You're cutting the scenes, and it needs to, again, with a little desaturation. So what would I do to turn this into a high converting website? The first thing is, am I in the right place? Because I don't know if I'm going to land on this page or not. I've got Eagle Nook Resort Sports. I would love to see here. Whoever this is, can you put them on so I can talk to them? I'm going to put them on the spot.
I can. So Greg, let me find you. There you are. Hi, Greg.
Good morning. How are you?
Good.
A couple questions for you. Hey, a couple questions for you. How long you been around?
With this Eagle Nook Resort,
yeah,
we're in our 10th season.
Okay, and how many? Give me some other numbers. So, how many patrons have you had over the 10 years?
How many patients?
Patrons, customers, clients, visitors.
How many customers?
Yeah.
Oh shit. I mean, gosh.
I didn't think Canadians curse. Come on.
We're live.
Yeah, sorry about that. How many patrons? We've probably served 2,000 a year, so maybe 150, 175,000.
Okay, so here's what I would do. And again, we're making this up live, so you got to make it better than what I'm going to do, all right? But I would love to see in your logo up here or underneath here, something that says, okay, uh, you know, uh, serving hundreds of thousands of sports fishermen for over 10 years, right? So if I saw that on every page on the top, not just that it's, sport fishing, but that you've done, over 100,000 visitors in over 10 years, all right, I'm going to go, oh, these are the guys, right? All right, because that's a trust symbol in and of itself. It not only tells me who you are and what you do, but it adds social proof and it makes me feel good about you. Does that make sense?
Absolutely.
And then, and I know I said this, but real companies have a phone number here in the top right-hand corner, okay? And you can put Monday through Friday, 9 to 5 or whatever you want under here. And as long as when they call, either somebody answers or you got a really friendly voicemail that really is, because that's a touch point, that really is good, all right? That would be great. And then the way you're doing the video here, again, see how it's moving? It's moving a little fast and you're doing a little bit too much here. I would love to see this desaturate a little bit, and I want a little bit more than where luxury meets wilderness. Okay, I would like to know. Tell me what your unique selling proposition. Why do I want to come here? Sell me. Give me your elevator pitch so I can put it on the website.
Why do we come here? We are a remote float plane and boat access sport fishing resort, total turnkey, very experiential. Come with us. Bring a camera, a set of underwear, and a credit card.
Okay, well, I might leave out the underwear
leave the
part.
rest to us.
Yeah, I might leave out the underwear part. But having said that, okay. So here's the thing. You've got some of this stuff down below here, like True West Coast Adventure. Although I will tell you, you're doing something bad here. All right, that I got to fix right away for you. Okay.
Okay.
This picture and this picture and this picture are, they're not the same. All right, so it goes up and down, and that means your words go up and down, right? And because your words go up and down and the calls to action go up and down, all right, it makes your site look broken. And we've tested this time and time again. Whenever something looks broken, it actually hurts conversions. You got to make it standardized. So that's problem number one. Fair enough?
Yep, fair enough.
All right, the second thing that you need to do here is, and I don't know that these are indeed the right things, but for right now, let's pretend they're the right things. When I get here, you're doing the experiential thing, but you got a little carried away with it. I need those 3 boxes, okay, that information trailhead, like right here, all right? And again, you can have
in the video?
It's above the video. It's not in the video. It's above so the video's playing in the background, right? And you've got 2 choices. I'm okay with either, okay? Your choices is either above the video or the video stops here. Okay, and that's a design issue for you guys, all right, to do that, all right? But I need these, and because you can do these above the video and make it look nice, assuming you've got a good designer, or you do it below and you've just got, you make it really easy for me to go, oh, this looks wonderful. And I trust the guys and this is what I want to do because I've got that good stuff. And there's a phone number and, oh yeah, I want to do a corporate retreat, or I want to do a family outing, or whoever you're going after, right? Yep. Make it easy for me without thinking or looking to just go, yep, I'm in the right place. I feel good. And this is what I do next. I click on this information here. Does that make sense?
It does. It does. It kind of hurts my feelings because I love this video and
I understand. I understand. But I'm going to go back to it's not about you. Okay. It's about
Marty. Marty.
Yeah.
Marty, come on.
Yeah, I know, buddy. I know.
Do I come into your living room and tell you how to optimize websites?
Yeah, I know. Well, I mean, here's the thing, and I'm doing this nicely because I'm in a Canadian audience. When I'm in an American audience, I'm even rougher. But here's the thing. All kidding aside, it really is. It's about making these people feel safe and comfortable. So your video is great, but it's a little too distracting, and it's interesting, but I'm not really here to watch the video. The video is just to make me feel like, because it's experiential. I want to go to the thing I want to go to as a visitor. Does that make sense?
It's true. The video right now in the current climate, it's reminding me of, this would be a great place to do some social distancing once we're allowed to travel.
Well, I'm not going to go there, but.
But thank you. I am going to steal 2 more minutes because there's one more website, and I think that this would be a really awesome one.
Okay.
It's from Julie, and her website is www.hope.us. So
Okay.
Julie is joining us from your home country, so I
Oh,
guess.
so I can be rude. Okay. Okay,
right?
great.
And Julie, I'm gonna press the magic button so you can talk as well.
All right. What was it? Hope?
Hope.us.
Okay. Hope.us. Ooh, that's not good. There we go. Okay. Ooh, we got moving things. Julie,
Hi.
you there? There you are. How you doing?
Yes.
So, tell me what you do.
So we are a nonprofit. We've been around for 63 years, and we have multiple programs throughout several states that focus on children with developmental differences. So we have everything from residential programs to specialized academies to autism clinics to in-home therapy, you name it, and we have a program for it.
Okay. Serving children with disabilities or development disabilities for over 6 decades.
Yep.
Right? And I'm going to go,
Yes.
oh, yeah, these are the people, right?
Perfect.
And you know what I want here, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. And you understand why. I mean, because you're real. That's a real thing. Now, this thing moving here, okay, and I understand how that happens. Everybody does this, all right? And I'm okay that the picture kind of goes to the sides, that it goes out here, but in the middle here, and I'm okay with the size of it, but I would really like to have one message that basically says what you do here with some bullet points, so your unique selling proposition, and then, what you do, and you have to distill that. And then, interestingly enough, because you do this, I know there's more down here, but I'd kind of rather see a little bit more of it above the fold, if possible. Okay.
Yeah.
And so, because again, don't make me think, all right, education services. All right, so here's the rule. I didn't share this rule with everybody, but let me share a rule. It's the rule of 3 to 5. All right, and so here's what it is. People can process between 3 to 5 things. So you can have, and I'm not suggesting you do this, right? But you can have 3 to 5 boxes going across. And interestingly enough, you could also have 3 to 5 rows. So you could have a matrix, and I'm not saying you're going to do this, of 5 by 5. You could have 25 things. I'm not suggesting you do that. But the way it works, the rule of 3 to 5 is I look at one row and I go left to right, top to bottom, and I look at the row and I go, does this make sense to me? Is this my row? No. I dismiss the row. I go to the second row, right? And so the way to organize this is by either whatever is most important for your visitors, okay, or what is most important for your organization. And I don't know what the answer would be, but you'd have to figure out, is it education services, autism clinical services? What are they, right? And you've also got some other movement on here that is problematic. And you're also using white on a dark background here. So one of the things we tell people to do is if you have people with glasses, have them take off the glasses and tell you if you can actually read that or not. Now I understand some people can't read anything without their glasses, but if they're only slightly visually impaired and it's really hard to read, then that's not designed well for the average visitor. Does that make sense?
Yes.
Okay. And again, I'm not picking on this,
I submitted it because I said we broke almost every rule you were talking about. So
So all right, so then what it comes here, so let me read what you got there. And now you're also doing the me thing, okay? The Hope Learning Academy, this is like me. No, okay? You need to make this children, autism, other development, hope is inclusive. So how would we rephrase this? Okay, so it's about the children, okay? It's not about you. And I know you've got it, the Hope Learning Academy. I don't care about you yet, right? You haven't earned the right for me to care about you. It's about the children, okay? So, you know, providing, you know, are for children with autism and other development delays, okay? You know, we do blah, 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 or, you know, they can learn, it's they can learn blah, 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 or they get this. Some benefit to the children, okay? And then you can say, at Hope Learning Academy, blah, 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 right? First, it's about them, right, and what they need, and then it's about you. So you got it backwards, and everybody does this. It's not just you, right?
Yep,
Is that fair?
definitely.
Okay, so let me just, do I have time to go a little deeper, Christina, or am I?
Last hint for Julie.
Oh, well, that should be a good one then. Okay, now you're making it tough. All right, so we're good here, we're good there. Let's see what happens when I click. Oh, so it also, so you've got movement in here, but to add insult to injury. So I expect to be able to click on this picture, right? But you're making me work. Why are you making me work, okay, here? And I understand you've got two different locations, but the way you should have done that is underneath here, you would have had, and I'll draw, you know, visit Hope Springfield, visit Hope wherever it was, right? And so give me calls to action so I can go to the right place. Don't make it so that it's within here, right? And because the way you've got this, it looks like I should be able to click on it, especially considering you've got movement in there. I would rather see the picture with a couple bullet points in it, which didn't move, okay? Tell me why I care about education services. Don't make me work for it. And then give me the call to action to go to the right place.
Perfect. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Awesome. Well, Marty, thank you so much. This was awesome. So many people engaged. I know there was one question, Marjana, I didn't get to you, but I'm going to pass it to Marty after and he can send you a note. But Marty, from the bottom of our hearts, thanks for joining us today. I want to remind everyone about your conversion work